Hi there, everybody. Thought to go ahead and do a quick walkthrough of SyteQuery Studio. Made a couple of posts talking about it, and thought it'd be beneficial to kind of let everybody get eyes on the application and what it's about. Here's the home page that you would come to. It's sitequery.cleardatagroup.com. It's just a little informative landing page, if you will, with a small FAQ area. How to add an environment. There's instructions there. Just a little bit more about the application and kind of informative. Just kind of the top here was where your navigation menu is. It's a pretty compact application. It's basically the query page and the site agent, which would be similar to your SSMS scheduling jobs and stuff like that. Without further ado, just kind of jump into the app. Here is the main query area. Here at the top, you notice the environment toolbar, your query execution toolbar underneath that, your tabs for the different queries, because you can run multiple query tabs just like in Management Studio. Your query editor itself. Then down here at the bottom you have your results, messages, history, and snippets. I'll get into that a little bit. And then the Object Explorer over here on the left hand side, just like Management Studio. It might be on your right hand side depending on how you have it set up. Some of the navigation is that, here on the page is you can minimize stuff to make some more room. You can move the hide the Object Explorer. You can also hide the environment toolbar, which is handy, if you're just going to be working in the same environment the entire time. Kind of coming up here, dark mode for those that like dark mode. I'm a fan of that myself. The site agent page, we'll go jump into that in a little bit, but just kind of make this quick overview of the navigation. Your user profiles, come in here and click the settings. You will want to set up your notification connectors, which is your SMTP server, as well as webhook, and in the very near future, secure FTP as well. Be adding that functionality. When you set up an environment through the environment add environment dialog page, you'll be presented with a question of whether or not you want to automatically insert the IDO that this application is required to use. If you don't want to do that automatically and you want more control of that, and that's fine, you can just download the IDO here and then insert that into your environment manually. Over here, to show all columns and rows by default query results, for performance reasons, to keep the UI reactive and quick. For very large queries, the columns are limited on the screen by default, and if you want to see all of the columns in your select statement no matter what, you can set that here to just show them all by default. We'll get more into that as in the actual query part. So let's jump back to the query page and let's do the first thing. Let's set up a new environment, and so let's do our demo. We'll do our demo environment, and do the DAOs. The URL is going to be your the web URL. If you're not for sure where that's at, I can do another video on how to retrieve that to get that address, but there's also instructions here on the page as well on how to retrieve that in itself. I'm just going to make a quick copy of that because I know what mine is, and I can't type today. And that's the configuration will be that configuration that you see when you log in to whatever environment that you're in. The username and password is going to be a SiteLine user for right now. I am working on making this work with exposing through the import OS and through your API endpoints, but right now going through the web URL, you will need a user that has the automation module. I do suggest that you create a user specifically for this app, and the reason being is that if you need a kill switch, if you will, you can just go in and basically disable that user in your SyteLine environment, and then this app would no longer be able to connect to that. And then so you basically can control of your security authentication through SyteLine itself, so that this application can or cannot connect through that. So when I click save, what's going to happen is it's going to first see if it can authenticate with the user information that's provided. Then it's going to check to see if the IDO that this application needs exists. If it does not exist, it's going to ask you if you want to go ahead and insert that. And through this demonstration, we'll say yes. Finally, when that's done, it'll go through and pull the objects to put in the objects explorer, and that will be your tables, views, store procedures, and functions. So let's go ahead and click on save. Hopefully I typed my password correct. You can see down here the status of what is happening, and as I mentioned, the deployment is required. We'll just go ahead and click deploy now for this. And it takes just a second to upload, and it does through uploads the ODO and does flush your farm cache and takes care of all that for you. And then it goes through and loads tables, store procedures, views, and functions, as I mentioned. So so now that you can see we have the environment set, and we'll just go ahead and get that out of the way for now. And then on the left side now you can see that same environment over here. If you expand that, it's similar to Management Studio. You have your tables and your views, store procedures. So let's walk through the functionality of that, because there's some embedded or hidden Easter eggs there for a developer to make things easier and quicker. So for instance, the tables, the tables pull in pretty quick, and is just in our demo environment there's 3,091 tables, and you can see I'm just scrolling my mouse wheel. It's pretty fast in the way that it works. So yeah, try to design everything to be quick, fast, and easy, which is the antithesis sometimes of trying to develop within the SyteLine cloud environment. You can expand the table to see the individual columns as well as the triggers that are on that table. If you want to see, just like if you right click on a table in Management Studio, you can do a couple of things. So I built in some functionality. You can script the table or do a quick select. Quick select is just like if you right click on a table in Management Studio and you do a select top 1000 and it'll do the same thing. You can see here that it's created a new tab and created a new query for you. I don't think in my so I just executed that query really quick, and you can see that it's got 21 absences and then 12 different columns that are in that table. We'll jump down into the query result area later. So we'll walk through more of the objects first. To going back is when I clicked on that, we can just go ahead and script the table. So the idea here is that maybe you've gone through SQL table form, created a table in your TRN environment. It's good to go. You're ready to promote it to PRD. Instead of doing the copy and then the paste with a pen to move from TRN to PRD, it'd be nice to be able to script the table. But since this is an infor, a vendor scoped table, if you try to script the table, you'll get a little message here that says vendor tables cannot be scripted. We'll scroll down to the UE tables, where like if you're going to be creating your own UE tables, and there's just a couple. There's here in the demo environment. Let's just select on that. Do the same thing. Script the table, and just like in Management Studio, if you want to see the definition of something, it pulls in the table definition, including the indexes and triggers to be able to just run this on another environment. So quick time saving, be able to promote tables from TRN um, to production, or if you're using your demo environment, vice versa. You could see that I was doing some scrolling there to find the UE tables. It does have a search function, and it works reasonably well. That if everything you see on the Object Explorer is visible on the screen, you can search it. It doesn't really search on anything that's not in a or that's in a folder that hasn't been expanded, so it would have to be in there. So you could just do simple something as UE underscore, and again you find here. So that's everything that contains UE underscore, and then you can click this icon here that basically starts with, so kind of narrow it down to your search. So that's pretty handy to be able to, in all the tables and/or store procedures, to find something fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and clear that out and close that. Same with the views. If you click on a view, it will just automatically do a quick select, because you're not going to want to script a view. You would want to affect those views in Sightline itself. So just active background test, for example. Like you see, I clicked on that, it creates the new query, and then I could execute it if I wanted to. And then finally, store procedures. This is a tremendously helpful thing for troubleshooting, to be able to get in here and just take a look at what's going on. Again, if you click it, you can do a couple of things. You can show the definition, which is going to show you the text for that store procedure. The other thing is, I don't have another environment set up for this demo, but if you wanted to, let's say that your TRN and your PRD environments are out of sync, what you could do is click on the same thing and then do a comparison. And since I don't have another environment, it won't work to do that. But I'll do another video. Maybe we can just kind of displaying the comparison. But it's basically a text compare, and you'll be able to see by color coded in the store procedure definition text what's different between the two environments. So it's very, very handy to be able to see stuff that has been that's out of sync between the two environments. And finally, over here with functions, it's the same concept. Be able to see all the functions, and just click on a function. It's going to pull in the text for that that function, to whatever it's doing behind the scenes. So, alright, that takes us down to the result area of the grid. And we just close some of these out. And so let's just run this quick query. Top 100 from the items table view, rather. I think the query performance is relatively quick. Obviously, if you're going to pull 100,000 records, it takes a little bit to send that much data across the wire from the cloud back to this application. So the more distinct and filtered queries that you write, the better the performance will be. Notice here is 100 of 100 rows, because obviously it's a top 100, and then it's only showing 15 of 276 columns that's in this view. This is the view. You can query the tables directly, and also there is built-in IntelliSense. IntelliSense works when the environment has been expanded and refreshed. So basically, when you create the new environment for the first time, IntelliSense will drill down to store procedures, function, and tables. It will not drill down to columns. I didn't feel the need for column-based IntelliSense at this point. The bandwidth overhead of hitting your Sightline environment just to pull the hundreds of columns for the thousands of tables was just a little bit too much that we want to do right now. And think about a better way to handle that, to pull that information back in the future. So What I wanted to talk about that is the 15 of the 276 columns. So that is to keep the performance, and that also goes back to what I was talking about here in the settings for the query preferences. That if you want to show all columns and rows by default, then if you had that set, I go back here, execute that again, you would see all 276 columns in your results. If you do want to see more columns, you can click over here and scroll down, and you can just turn on the columns that you want to see in the query. Kind of like in the data views where you can turn on and off the properties that are in your data view results. So, maybe I want to see the status of that item. So I've clicked that, and then now if I scroll over, the status is there. The query result area, I think, has some good built-in functionality from an analytical standpoint, especially if you have somebody on your team that maybe isn't really that good or adept at writing SQL. If they know how to write a simple, select all from a table to get some stuff back to the screen, that's great, and they can handle filtering, sorting, and grouping as well, just from here in the grid. So let's, for example, I want to group my items by unit of measure instead of grouping here, just because I want to just quickly do select, top 100 from the item table, get it back to the screen. I can just simply group on here, and this is going to group everything on the unit of measure. Pretty cool. I have functionality, I think. And then to ungroup, you can just come back and ungroup there. You can do multi-column sorting and as well as filtering. So there is a quick search function. So the quick search function is gonna search the entire data set that was returned for whatever text that you put in here. So if I just type in RV quickly, you can see through the 100 records, it very quickly pulled back anything from this data set that has the letters RV in it. And then you can see that I took the search out, and notice how quickly the screen and the results flip back to no filter. If I want to see all of the columns, I can just click this eyeball here, and then now you can see that all of the columns will now exist. And it, like I said, it's for performance. It does take a rendering hit on the screen to be able to show all of the columns, but overall it works pretty well if you want to see a pretty wide amount of data. You can export to Excel, you can export to CSV, and you can also export to JSON for maybe you want to grab some data real quick and send it to another application. The Messages tab is real similar to Management Studio. It's going to give you some informative information about what's happening with the query or any other error-related messaging that you might run into if you're writing a query. So let's say I do something like item script from item. This is going to obviously return back an error because up here as well there's just two places for statuses, and up here and down here for information related to it. So obviously there's keyword description. There's no DSC column in the item table. So if I fix that and then run that again, you'll see the information. The columns are resizable as long as they fit within your window down here. So if you have a really wide query where the columns fill up the bottom section, they don't really resize very well. And that was just, again, to keep the everything neat and tidy here on the screen. Alright, finding history. Let's say that you ran a query, you're working on a query, and you leave and go away. This will cache to some degree, so you can like refresh, and you'll notice that it's loading, and you can see it's the query is the same as we left it. Uh, and the next time that you come back, this same query would be there. But for larger queries, I didn't want to overload everything and focusing on caching, a very large query. But if you're working on something, you can retrieve, um, you know, information. You can just simply select on there, and it's back up in your query window. And then finally, snippets is where basically you can save your query as you're working on them. Maybe you've got a teammate or somebody from another department constantly asking for the same information, and you write the same query over and over again. Just save it here, and then you can come back and say, I'm gonna write this same or execute the same query. So you can see that on the snippets, I just click the play button. It brings it up here to be executed. I have saved myself a little an actual snippet for doing a sanity check on an update or delete or insert statement. So yes, you can do code up inserts, deletions, and updates on your data. So use this to be careful. You can wipe out all of your data accidentally. Um, this application works in a batch kind of method, so you can't do it like you do it in the old days where you do a begin trend and update a bunch of records and then do a select statement and look at the data and then okay, that's good or bad, and then based on that you could decide to commit or roll that back. This application does not work that way. There's no way, to my knowledge, to be able to affect queries in such a way that the database that we don't really have direct exposure to would know which session that you're running a commit statement or a rollback statement. So what this does, and I bring this up because it's very important. I don't want anybody accidentally damaging their data using a tool like this. So created the snippet to basically say that I want to insert, delete, or update some sort of based on some sort of logic, and it's within the query itself to do your sanity check. So I know how many rows should be updated, so do that, and then just do a select statement within here, and if that select statement returns the value that I expect, you can then either commit or roll that back, all within this batch statement. So that's how you can kind of build in some of that, some of the old ways of doing stuff. Management Studio, when you had an on-prem database and just doing it in the cloud. But the main point being is that you can save queries here and bring them back to execute. You can edit them. Right, my suggestion is to create the query in a query tab, and then once you get it how you want it, then go ahead and paste it in here, because this is just a text box. It doesn't have any formatting or IntelliSense or anything like that. And then that kind of takes me into the next spot, which is the site agent, which is how you schedule jobs to run a one-time basis or a reoccurring basis. So we'll just jump into that, create a new job, and we're just going to call this open orders. Run open order report, and we're going to do a one-time run today at, let's see, it's 2:14 my time, so 14:20. We're going to email the results. I don't have a connector set up, so I didn't want to put it at creatortech.com. Email, and then we want it in Excel as a format, and then what's it going to actually run, and can name the query step whatever you want it to be, and top it was ordered, and we're just going to do a single step. This just continue on errors if you have a multiple step job setup, that if you want the job to go ahead and continue on to the next step, go ahead and select that box. But and then finally create the job. So you can see all of your jobs, all of your queue jobs and reoccurring jobs here. Once the job has ran and there's no more iterations left for that job, then you won't see that here on this screen. And then just once it hits the appropriate time, based on your time zone that you're running this in, this is time zone specific. So I'm in Alaska, so it's 2:16 my time. It converts your local time to UTC time in the database. So just keep that in mind if you're scheduling. If you happen to be traveling and you're not in your normal time zone, go ahead and schedule that based on that knowledge that you're not in your time zone. So this will run, and of course it'll fail because we don't have an email connector set up. So, but overall, that's the main functionality in 15 minutes or less. Coming back here, so again, it's the some of the navigation features. You can create a lot of room to write your query if you don't need the Object Explorer. The site, the navigation's up here, SyteQuery, Site Agent, and being able to flip this to dark mode. Your settings, your IDO download, your query preferences to set to see all of your results, and then your result stuff down, your result grid down here, and then being able to see all of your components. So I can create some more videos as I go along. Again, in beta testing, if you would like to help beta test, would be much appreciated for that help. Just reach out to me, jason.lopeman@cleardaytechgroup.com. Email, you can hit my website as well, cleardaytechgroup.com, as do that, or you can even register to create an account with this application. Since we're in beta, it won't really let you pass the registration part until I can communicate with you directly for now, since we're in beta. So if you have any other questions, concerns, or immediate feedback, just reach out to me here on LinkedIn or on the email, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.